Are you pooping 3 times a day? If not, you might be in trouble.
And we have the answer. As always, this is Miss Natural Olympia Hilary.
And this is Doug, the formulator. We drew straws at who was going to say poop. It was me.
Well, it's interesting because we've been asked a lot about 2025 action items. Like 2024 is like so much new research on the chemicals and the food dyes. And
yeah, we have all the information. Give me something I can do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like we can't go anywhere. We went to the bank. We go to different stores and people are like, oh, we love all the information, but give us details.
Yeah. So I think this year, we're going to be way more intentional about action items, to-dos, what you can do today. So speaking about
Pooping.
What is the one thing that is, when people are dealing with a lot of constipation, what's the deal?
Well, what's interesting is that 80% of the population don't get enough of this, and that's what's causing it. And it is
fiber.
And so, I really love the fact that a lot of these action items that we're going to be talking about through the podcast in 2025 are actually simple things you can do, but most people don't. When you have the high majority of the American population not consuming the one thing that can help them get rid of many diseases, be able to stop even being a lower risk for the diseases, and just helping their daily life, being able to live a good, normal, healthy life with energy and vitality. It's just, it's just crazy that these simple things aren't talked about much.
Yeah, I agree. Should we go through some of the conditions that people will experience if their fiber content is not where it needs to be?
I like it.
Okay. So number one, we're talking about constipation, right? Just because there's not enough bulk. Is that a good way to say that?
Absolutely. So what's some of the problems besides constipation? I think most people know constipation, but there's some other things that come from that.
That come from constipation. So we have chronic, just the discomfort, right, of not being able to go to the bathroom. Hemorrhoids.
Right.
Because you're pushing, right? Isn't that the whole?
Yeah, it's too much effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the second one is Diverticulosis Diverticulitis. And this is one that's kind of near and dear to us because my mom had it really bad and it led to cancer and other things. And best way to look at this is that if you look at the picture of your bowels and you see the tube like that, and the food's supposed to go through smoothly. And every once in a while, if you have diverticulitis, is because food hasn't been digested, it hasn't moved through fast enough because you don't have enough fiber, it'll rot part of that intestine and you'll get like a hangnail. So a little hangnail in your intestine, it's a tick, divertic, right? And that tick pops up. Now the food comes and it gets stuck in that tick. It hurts, but it builds up and it causes all these issues, right? And one of them just being pain. And so then you get the itis. So diverticulitis means inflammation, right?
Okay.
And so now you have the inflammation and the swelling that leads to a lot of other conditions. And so the number one fix for that is fiber. But most of the time you go to a medical doctor and they put you on different drugs and things that hurt the flora, that make it worse. And they're just taking away the pain, but it's making the problem worse. So fiber really is a key to that. So constipation, diverticulitis, diverticulosis.
IBS, so irritable bowel syndrome.
Same kind of a concept.
Right? Yeah. But on the opposite end of constipation, it can create, like diarrhea and issues with not having a harder stool. Then we have colon cancer,
which is a combination usually of one of the first three going on for a period of time and people not taking care of it, right? But then the cells start reproducing, bad cells and cancer cells, and then it gets out of hand.
Okay. How about obesity?
We're going to hit obesity, I think, up in a few minutes, a little bit more in detail when we talk about the answer. But the simple answer to low fiber and obesity is one, we're not absorbing the nutrients properly, right? But the thing that we've learned lately is that there are certain chemicals not being produced in the body if we don't have enough healthy fiber to feed the probiotics, the friendly bacteria.
Perfect. Love that. And then 6 on our list is type 2 diabetes.
How does it cause type 2 diabetes?
Tell me.
Well, basically, fiber slows down the process, and not slow too far, but actually slows down the process so your body can absorb nutrients properly. And what happens with low fiber is then we have these problems with sugar just
Mhm.
getting in too fast. The body's not able to calm what's called the glycemic index down, which then leads to diabetes.
Right. Okay. And then we have cardiovascular disease. Um, so explain that one.
Well, I think the key with it is that your body has different types of cholesterol that we talk about a lot. One of them being LDL, low density lipoproteins, which is a bad one. And the fiber absorbs that so that it can't get into the bloodstream. If you don't have enough fiber, then a lot of times your LDL levels, which nowadays a lot of people just rely strictly on that, on
Cool.
LDL and the different size particles with that. So fiber is one of the
I love knowing
easiest
that.
fixes.
Yeah, and actually that's one that I never put together, fiber with cholesterol. So and then we go back to hemorrhoids, like that being the
Yeah.
actual, yeah. And then chronic inflammation. So those are our top 9.
Yeah, and the chronic inflammation is interesting too because we're really big on the blood marker that measures systemic inflammation in the
Right.
body.
Right.
And so when you measure C-reactive protein in the body, we're looking at overall inflammation. And many times when you have a high C-reactive protein number, it's due to inflammation from the gut spreading through the system. And so just overall inflammatory conditions. And a lot of people that feel like they have a bloated gut or they're even really healthy, but they just feel like it's just right here in the gut still having issues, especially women a lot. Many times it's just fiber. And all of a sudden, boom, they get leaner.
Yeah, wouldn't that be such a great answer that it's just a fiber issue? Because the thing about that is it's so easy to fix, right?
Yeah. And then something that we should, it's not like even we're taking something like take this to fix a problem to get rid of the pain. We're taking this to actually go after the cause.
Right.
Low fiber intake, the high majority of Americans, with a lot of these conditions would go away. They wouldn't be conditions if we consumed enough fiber. In the countries where people do consume fiber, the conditions that we just mentioned are much less. They have a lower percentage of them in the country. So really, we have enough data and studies from other countries and groups that we know that the fiber is a major factor.
Okay.
So we talked about not just seeing the problem this year, but the simple fixes. So now to the nutrition side, let's talk about the foods that people should increase the amounts of in their diet today to increase their fiber.
Their fiber content. Okay, I love that. So number 1 is chia seeds. The fiber content is 10 grams per ounce of fiber for chia seeds. That's huge.
That's huge. And it's not that tough. How can people use chia seeds every day?
So some people like to put chia seeds in their drink. You can get
shake.
in your shakes, and you can get chia seeds that have already been kind of ground, so you can do it that way. You can also make like pudding type, you know what I
Chia
mean?
pudding.
Yeah, like let it soak, and then it creates a whole different texture with the chia seeds, which is really cool. I've used it as a thickening agent in jams, that kind of thing. So chia seeds are pretty versatile in the way that you can use them. You could also salad.
Yeah,
They're
and
easy to
salads.
eat.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they have a real strong taste. Do you?
No, and that's the thing is you could actually from the bodybuilding world called dry scooping, where people take their
Okay.
they take their pre-workouts like that. Well, you could do chia
Their
seeds.
taste is enough for me to not do that.
They're not bad.
But no, they're really not. They also are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, correct?
Which is huge, right? So you're getting the fiber content that we're talking about today, but you're getting the omega-3s also for brain function, extremely deficient in nowadays, women, hormonal balance. There's really no downside to chia seed. You get added fiber and the omega-3s. That's why we have a bottle of it at our house when we make our shakes. We just take a little scoop.
It's just an easy scoop. That's right. So number 2 is also what we have in our cupboard for our shakes, and that's flaxseed.
Flaxseed. Huge fan of flaxseed. Always been a huge fan of flaxseed. It was mainly because of Dr. Udo Erasmus, the one that wrote Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill, one of the most famous books on fat. Highly recommend it that there is. And he was really big on flaxseed for a number of reasons because it it provided the fiber that the body needed to help keep you regular in that, but it also provided that special fiber we're talking about for cholesterol levels, with
Mm-hmm.
LDL and the other cholesterol levels in the body. So I think it's important that we understand that most of these high fiber foods have much
Like
more benefit,
multiple, yeah. You're
than
gonna get
just the fiber.
I love that. You're gonna get a multiple amounts of benefit in your diet, your hormones, how you feel. It's not just fiber,
Absolutely.
which
So
is really cool.
chia, flax,
Yeah, and flaxseed is another one that you can just scoop into your shakes.
100%.
It's also one that's easy to do on a salad.
And that's one that I'd recommend buying where it's the, organic
Ground.
flaxseed, but it is ground just a little bit. In other words, it's just broken open, because you do have to chew it unless it's broke open a little bit. So the shelf life isn't real long with them. But you can buy them like that, where they're just slightly milled.
Okay, that was the other thing that I was going to say, is it is important that you break the membrane to make sure you're getting all of the benefit. But also, we've also done a cereal in the mornings that also contains flaxseed.
Absolutely.
Flax seeds are really easy as well. I would say that flax seeds do have a little bit more potent taste than a chia seed. It's more like the potency that you would get from like olive oil. You know how olive oil has a very distinct flavor? So that is something to keep in mind with flax seeds. How about legumes? Lentils, chickpeas. We don't eat enough legumes, I feel like.
Yeah, that is a big one. And you look at the healthiest people in the world, all of them consume some form of legume, right? Some beans, some lentil. And I think that's really, really key, is getting back to that. And again, getting the best form you can. And I remember growing up, that was a huge staple in our home. Costs too. People talk about it costs a
So
lot to
true.
eat healthy. No, go get some beans, some lentils in that, and keep the pot and go from there. Just don't put like pig in it.
Yeah, don't add the pork. Okay, I think it's next. So also what's great about legumes and lentils and chickpeas and that, you're also getting a decent amount of plant protein. So you're also getting some great protein, and you get a really good balance of carbohydrates in those as well. So I think that's something to be added. Also, so we said 10 grams per ounce for chia seeds. It's 8 grams of fiber per 2 tablespoons for flax seeds, which not too many people are going to eat 2 tablespoons. So I would say you're going to average about 4 grams for that tablespoon. And then with legumes, it's 15 grams per cooked cup. So before we move on, how much fiber should we be getting in our diet?
Well, you should work up to 30.
Okay.
30 grams
All
a
right.
day. And that's a great question. And the thing is that most people are way less than that, 10, 12 grams a day. And so they're not pooping 3 times a day. They have constant inflammation in their system and that. And here's one thing, and we'll mention it now, we'll mention it at the end too, is it's really hard to go from 8, 10 grams of fiber a day to 30 overnight. Right? Like it'll actually do the opposite. You'll get constipated. You have to work up to it, and your body is like loves it, but it's been compensating for you not giving it that fiber. And so now you got to work it back in again, so the body will then
Great.
reset. That's really, really critical. So we're wanting to get around 30 grams. And if you know what Hilary's saying right now, gosh, 10 grams from chia seeds, and if you get half that, also from flaxseed, you can easily get 20 extra grams by adding some of these things we're talking about now. So we got the first 3 kind of in that world, the
And I
seed
think,
world.
right, the variety of different forms of fiber is also really great for the
Yeah,
system.
and that's a great example. What's next? It's not one of the seeds,
No,
right?
avocados,
Avocados.
which I don't know that a lot of people would contribute fiber to avocado, but we're talking about 10 grams per medium avocado. So, all of us could eat half an avocado a day and feel real good.
And
So
we've been saying that for a long time, that
Yeah.
you should have a half avocado a day. And that's one of the foods that if you're going to eat after dark, it's one of those that can actually benefit you. You cut an avocado, a little vinegar, salt with a Himalayan sea salt, and it's actually really healthy for you. So if you have those cravings at night, the last thing you should do is go to pastry type foods, but go to a raw food. And avocado is a great one because it actually helps with your sleep cycle and REM sleep. So,
and also those healthy fats, right?
yeah, that's back to the healthy fats and the hormonal balance again. Again, a medium avocado 10 grams, we're already now another third of the way there just with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Berries. So your blackberries, your raspberries, the fiber content per cup is about 8 grams. I love this option for fiber.
Absolutely. I mean, right now, if we're saying you need to increase your fiber content 20 grams a day, then if you just add chia or flaxseed just a little bit in a shake, right? So when you're doing your complete nutrition, that have an medium avocado, maybe half of it at lunch and a salad, another half at bed, like we're talking about, with a cup of berries, you're there. Because a cup
Yeah.
of berries,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. A cup of berries, 8 grams of
Boom.
fiber. And here's the thing is that some of us are really strict about the amount of fat that we get in our diet. So I love the idea of, look, I can pull 8 grams of fiber from my berries where my fat content is very low. And then I can pull another, 5 grams from half of an avocado. So I love that concept. Also, when you're talking about berries, you're talking about the antioxidant support that you're getting there. So inflammation is reduced. I'm loving this talk about fiber. So next, oats.
One of my favorite.
Yep.
I think that this is one of the foods that, is getting blasted a bit by some of these so-called biohackers, and it's a bunch of bunk, saying that it's not healthy, when oats is one of the healthiest foods you could ever eat, with multiple benefit. But right now, even just for the fiber benefit from it, and how much do you get?
Yeah, but I would say a lot of people misunderstand oats, because in my brain, I'm getting way more than 4 grams, per cup of cooked oats,
And
right?
that's what we're saying.
And that's what we're saying. So, evaluate that. But also the heart healthy and energy that you can get from oats, it's
Yeah, and the thing too about oats is the fiber you get from oats is called beta-glucans, and the beta-glucan fiber is so much more beneficial, and it's hard to get that from other
okay.
foods. And so it's not just 4 grams per cup, it's actually 4 grams of a very special fiber that does a lot more for you than the normal fibers and that, like psyllium husk and those types of things. So
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the oats still, so get your fiber.
How do you feel about eating your oats raw and still getting that fiber? Do you think it means that you need to chew that much more?
Yeah, you do need to that much more, but again, a lot of people will put the oats in their shake, and that would solve that problem because then it's
Doug's shake is very, very dense. So far, Doug only doesn't put legumes in his
I
shake.
don't put avocados in my shake.
You could. A lot of people do.
I
You
don't.
could. You don't. Okay. So 4 grams per cup, per cooked cup. Then we go into Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts.
There's only one
Guy
food on the
not so
planet.
much.
One food on the planet. Like, I am not picky. I like healthy, but one food I have trouble with, and that's Brussels sprouts.
I
But I
love
think
them.
it's because of like PTSD from Russia.
I don't think it is. It's a DNA thing.
Is it?
Yeah, some people really love Brussels sprouts. Like when I had my DNA done, it says that I'm somebody that would like them. So
It was right.
you definitely don't. But so Brussels sprouts, 4 grams per cooked cup, which, awesome. And then also aids in, of course, digestion. That's so funny. Healthy microbiome. And then also you're getting the benefits of vitamins C and K.
That's true. And K is really big with Brussels sprouts. But if I get 4 grams per cup, I'm not going to get it from Brussels sprouts personally. I'm going to get it from the next one.
Okay, we're going to
The
talk about
ultimate
that in just a
food
second.
on the planet.
The thing with fiber, though, whether your food is cooked or raw, the fiber stays the same, correct?
Correct.
The only difference is when you're talking about like flaxseed oil versus flax seeds.
Correct.
Okay. Or oils in general.
Can we talk about the next food?
Oh my goodness. Oh gosh.
The ultimate food on the face of the
I
planet.
should have known better.
Sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes, yeah. So, but does this mean sweet potatoes with their skin, or is this without the skin? Did you find out?
So this is without the skin. So I think the skin would give you more for sure.
Yeah. So fiber content is 4 grams per medium sweet potato.
And it's soluble and insoluble fiber, most nutrient dense.
So
food
what does
on the
soluble
planet.
and insoluble? Explain that.
Well, we want insoluble fiber just to push things through and stuff, but we want soluble fiber too that the body will utilize and to actually feed the gut bacteria and those types of things that we'll finish up on the importance of that.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So also with sweet potatoes, you're getting the beta carotene for your skin and eye health as well. So that's, all of these are what's the word?
It's multi-beneficial, but they're
Multi-beneficial.
multi-nutrient foods, containing
Multi-nutrient, I
foods.
like that. Yeah. And then the last one that we're going to talk about is quinoa, fiber. And I feel like quinoa is like a new and happening,
Yeah.
carbohydrate, right? For a lot of people.
Well, it's also because it's not only have good carbohydrates, but it is pretty much a complete protein. It's
There you
one of
go.
the few plant proteins that really has everything. So quinoa can be very beneficial all the way around. Great carb, really great protein in it, and then you got the fiber.
Yeah. So with your fiber content is 5 grams per cooked cup,
Mhm.
and it's gluten-free. So a lot of people really love that. And then, of course, like you just said, protein. So it has all of the
Yeah,
amino acids.
absolutely. That's really key. So this
Love
is
it.
some great top 9 foods.
So let's go over them really quickly again. So chia seeds, flax seeds, legumes like lentils, chickpeas, your black beans, avocado, berries, oats, Brussels sprouts,
Sweet potatoes.
sweet potatoes, and quinoa. So I love the idea. Just adding all of these or some of these to your daily routine would be awesome.
And so now let's get to all right, you're starting to improve your fiber intake with your diet. Are there some things to add to it? Like a lot of people will go buy, these fiber products that are out there today. And I'm not against going and getting some of these wafers and different, fibers to help with and that. But I do have a problem with people just doing that when a lot of times they're more processed type fibers and they actually can be rougher on the system than you need to. Because
Okay.
insoluble fiber isn't meant to go through and scrape out, your good bacteria and everything, the ecology that you've developed, this ecosystem in the gut, right? That we now know is so important to overall health of the body. It's just to help carry things through and make it so we don't get diverticulitis and those types of things. So we have to be very careful. And I think that's where nature comes in, is to rely on the fibers from nature and keep them as close to the natural state as possible so that the body knows the amount of soluble and insoluble and the right forms of those so that it'll be treated right in the intestines.
Well, and I love the fact that a lot of the foods the top 9 that we just discussed, a lot of those are eaten in their raw form, and then some of those are eaten cooked.
Mhm.
So it's like you're getting all forms.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So number 1 is probiotic support.
that's it. And so let's talk about the type of fiber and then is that okay?
Yeah.
That we go there. The type of fiber is really key. And if you want to supplement when it comes to fibers, the ultimate fiber is the fiber that the gut uses the most. In other words, the friendly bacteria in the body, the ones that make serotonin, dopamine, happy chemicals, the ones that make GLP-1, your satiety, everything, out right now in GLP-1 and semaglutide and all that stuff, that your probiotics make that. And so you want to feed those probiotics. And there's 2 things that the probiotics will need to consume. One is something called glutamine, but the other is the right form of fiber, we call a fermented fiber. And the actual main food that I was taught by my mentor, Dr. Kim Chahani, was like, Doug, if you really break it down in the lab, there's things called FOS, fructooligosaccharides. These are the specific fibers that come from a lot of plants like Jerusalem artichoke, things like that. That is the ultimate for the gut bacteria to feed them, but also provide the fiber that the body needs, not just the food for the bacteria. And so if you're going to get a fiber and purchase one, you want to buy a fermented fiber, one that, right, you're obeying the laws of nature. It's fermented. It's gone through the fermentation process. It's fructooligosaccharides. And we've been asked about it for so long, and we put a little bit of fiber in some of our products, like OptiGi, that for the first time ever, we actually coming out with one here January 2025, and that's what it is, the prebiotic fermented fiber fructooligosaccharide and little 3-gram scoops so you can start going, slowly and do it. Foods first. But if you want to increase, like you have one of the issues that you'd mentioned, right, constipation or feel like bowel issues, no problem with getting like fiber. We call it fiber GLP-1, I think, that you get, and then just add 3 grams a day, then 6, then work your way up. But get to a point where you're getting most of your fiber from your food. But once you start getting that fiber, then we talk about the main 3 benefits, right?
Okay.
And so the first one being
Okay.
The
Probiotic,
right?
right?
And I think I kind of just mentioned that the probiotics live. They need that fermented fiber to live, to grow, to give you all those chemicals, to give you the enzymes, to create the they make B vitamins. All of those things that is crucial to your health come from probiotics being fed in good fermented FOS type fiber.
Very good. GLP-1 production?
So we touched on it, but I think that people really, it's overlooked out there today. Like, oh, the only way to get GLP-1 production is to take, the shot. And that's not true. Your body makes it. And that's why a lot of people that you say stay lean for decades and they don't, they don't gain, a ton of weight and all that. You want to look at those lifestyle, the healthiest people in the world, right? And you look at the blue zones in that, they didn't gain weight and lose weight, gain weight and lose weight through their life. They maintained. And the reason is if you keep feeding the friendly bacteria with fermented foods and the fermented fiber, the right nutrients, then it produces enough GLP-1 so that you always can push away. Doesn't mean you're not going to eat stuff once in a while or even overindulge once in a while if you choose to, right?
Yeah, we had this discussion not too long ago about that.
Yeah, and the key is GLP-1, and GLP-1's by fiber. So I'm sorry, by probiotics being fed right fiber, being healthy probiotics.
Right. You could create or have all the GLP-1 production that you want, but if your habit isn't fixed, if you don't fix the habit of not overeating, it's only going to do so much for you, right?
100%. That's why people just jump on the shots without putting a plan in place to start eating healthier, really just causing issues down the road.
Yeah. So the overall benefits?
Okay. So first one always, I think you mentioned overall digestion, right?
Yeah.
And indigestion is one of the leading causes of disease today. In fact, it's one of the top 3 reasons people go to the hospital, which is pretty interesting.
That is interesting.
Is digestive issues, indigestion, not digesting your food. And a lot of it has to do with fiber in the gut.
Yeah. And then the anti-inflammatory effects, right?
Yeah. And that's right. Everyone, I think, can figure that out that we mentioned. It's just moving food through at the proper rate so it can be digested and absorbed properly so that there's not inflammation.
Yeah, it's interesting. You don't always think about, even when you have a little belly, when your gut's bloated, you don't think of it as an inflammatory problem, but it is. It's all about inflammation, right?
Absolutely. It's all about inflammation.
Yeah. And then your metabolic health that we just discussed.
Well, and I think metabolic health goes a long ways because, there are different conditions now that they talk about, metabolic disorders, everything from diabetes, right? Even to the mitochondria being able to function properly, it leads to a longevity issue that leads to higher risk of cancer. So when we talk about metabolic, I think the easiest answer to that is energy. Like when you start losing energy and you have these major ups and downs and things like that, eventually it's a warning sign saying something's up and these conditions are going to happen sometime if you don't get that fixed, don't get the mitochondria fixed. And fiber is one of the main factors with it. So it's like almost everything we teach. The healthier you eat, the less supplemental,
right.
Vitamins, nutrients that you'll have to take. And it's so true with fiber. Really, very few people would need fiber. It's just that 80% of the population isn't getting enough. So having, that pre-digested fermented fiber on hand as they're improving their diet can be a great thing.
I love that.
So I know as we close, fiber is so important. Like in your world too, people that start reducing their calories, fiber actually needs to go up.
Yeah, fiber needs to go up. That's why we love the volume foods. We love increasing those vegetables and all of that to give us some more fiber. It makes you feel fuller.
Awesome. So first takeaway as far as action items for 2025, increase your fiber content.
And do it through foods. Next, we have an awesome
Absolutely.
product coming out.
Absolutely. Fiber GLP-1, and it'll just make everything smoother.
Oh,
You like that?
kind of.
As always, this is Miss Natural Olympia Hilary.
And this is Doug, the Formulator.
See ya.
See ya.